I don't know how much Sam filled you in, but my job is to break into places. My job is to gain access, to gain physical entry, and write a report about it. It's kind of not expected at all. So the idea that anybody's going to try to physically get into an office building is usually just ignored. It's really fun when you'll have a client, as you guys talk about security issues, like you'll have a client that'll say, well, we have this one piece of data and we don't know if anyone can get it, so we're going to run a pen test. And they'll have somebody like bang on the Wi-Fi, maybe out in the parking lot with a long antenna, or they'll have somebody try to like remote in, like try to find a back door and some SQL injection. Oh, look, I got administrative access on this server. But yeah, like we just physically walked in to a server room and like unracked a server and took it home. There's a picture of us, not in the deck, but we're like sitting on this server, this 2U server, sitting on our bed in a hotel room, just like, yeah, what's up? And the client completely didn't think that was a vector that would apply. Yeah. And we're like, well, we got the data out of the building. Is that we literally exfilled the data, man. Like that happens. So I like that our angle of approach is unconventional, and it's both a wake-up call for a lot of clients that hire us. But also I come and I talk to you folk because thinking about security in a different way, even if none of you ever wind up breaking into a building for fun or for, you got hired to, thinking about security and just remembering that there is a different way of getting in that somebody probably wasn't considering is a good, healthy mindset to have. So yeah, how much background did you give me, like why I do what I do?
No, you better tell them.
Have any of you heard of like lockpickers just being at tech conferences or anything like that? Or there's a group called TOOOL with 3 O's. So TOOOL is the Open Organization of Lockpickers. And they have a chapter here in the Bay Area. They have chapters all over the country. I've been a part of TOOOL for a very long time. And they view locks and lockpicking as just a sport. It's just a fun hobby. It's like solving puzzles. So you'll see people at a lot of tech conferences. You'll see people sitting around with some, trading locks and lockpicks. And here, I never got this one open. You want to try this one? I think I got maybe 3 pins in it, but I don't know. And they'll hand it off. And as you'll see, as I open the slides up in a minute, I'm known as like this lockpicker person. I mean, that's where a lot of people who see me at tech conferences first met me, when I was talking about locks and lockpicking. And I've written some books about lockpicking. And I was like, a few weeks ago, I was on the Mythbusters, like down right here, doing like lockpicking. Because people know me as this lockpicker. And that's fine. Like, I enjoy it. Lockpicking is fun. But what you're going to see in this slide deck is when I thought about it, when I actually get into buildings, when I am hired to break into a building, I don't do a lot of lockpicking. There's far, far easier ways to get into a building. And I was like, well, shoot, I've been giving lockpicking lectures for years. Maybe I should actually talk about the stuff that really gets me in. And that's what the whole focus is, what you're going to see. All right. It's almost like we know what's up. So, yeah. We've heard a little bit about this while we were up here vamping, waiting for spun copper. So, I'm the security consultant. My name is, in fact, Deviant. If you look up a bunch of books online, you'll spot me. But the fun part of my gig is this kind of life. This is with a couple other fellows on my team. A place we're completely not supposed to be, very late at night, because we just broke into a building and bypassed the alarm system, and there we are, like in the server room. So my fiance likes to say I'm kind of just professionally dangerous, and the ops side, as you witnessed earlier, we do combatives and restraints escape and all kind of dangerous life skills. But why does this actually matter? Well, I don't have a lot of network foo anymore. I came from a network background, but I don't, reprogram switches and set firewall rules. I'm kind of a dummy in that sense, but I'm smart enough that if I can get into the room where I can find your gear, like I can throw console cables into things, and I can drop to single user mode, and I can just, allow any. Hey, yeah, it works. All right, I'm smart enough to do that. So we like to say all of your hard work that you do on the tech side gets undermined by a trip to Home Depot. So if the infrastructure of your building isn't keeping people out, then what are you really doing? And that's what I love working on. That's what I love trying to prove to people, that it's easy to get in. And I said earlier, like, I'm known as a lockpicker, so I can walk you through how locks are made. I can talk to you about the design and the pins and what's going on and how, oh, this pin touches this, and you have a key pin and a driver pin, and they're binding unless you have the right key, and then that pushes the pins. And this is all pretty basic stuff. And there's a whole bunch of videos of me online showing slides like this, talking about locks and the little pieces inside of a lock. But as I said, like, this kind of system, yes, it's manipulatable, and I can teach any one of you right now to like stick some pick tools in a lock and open a lock without the key, but that's not really how I get into buildings. So when I was like, okay, lock picking, sure, it's easy and it's fun, but why don't I actually talk about, like that picture of me and the fellas, like in that server room, none of us touched our lock picks. We didn't need to pick, and we went through like 6 locked doors to get to that inner sanctum of the office. We didn't have to do this kind of action to any locks that we encountered. There were far easier ways to get in. So why am I known as just a lockpicker? Hence, this material you're about to see. By the way, has anyone ever done any lockpicking? Any show of hands? All right, a few people. So you guys, you know what's up. It really is as simple as this diagram indicates. There's pins that want to be in certain positions, and if you know how, it's like any kind of hacking, right? You stress the system, and you make it behave in a way that it wasn't supposed to behave. And little by little, you get those pins to click into position, boom. Well, we're not talking about that today. Why pick locks when you can just bypass? And this is the meat of what all of us do as pen testers, physical pen testers. And this is frankly, like, criminals don't really pick locks. Criminals do a lot of the stuff you're about to see here. Let's start super easy, right?
Yes.
Knocking hinges out, knocking the pins out of a hinge. This is like some hardware demo video about how to do it yourself home repair. But like depinning a door, you can knock a little nail into it, or they make this special orange tool so you're not hitting your fingers. I have knocked hinge pins out of a lot of doors. And if, the door is all locked on this side, but if you knock the pins out, you can just walk the door away from the wall. This is a funny looking door with like all these locks on it.
Yes.
You see all these locks, but what you don't see is hinges. The hinges are on the other side of that door. So if I knock those hinge pins out, all these locks are doing nothing. And I believe in instructing not just in like attacks, but in solutions. So stupid easy solution to this problem that every server room and in sensitive areas should be using. This is called a security hinge. You can see when this door shuts and closes, this peg is going to stick into this hole. And even if I knock those hinge pins out outside of the door, I can't pull the door away from the door frame. This on the right side, by the way, if you don't have a security hinge but you want one and you don't want to rehang the whole door, these are called jam pins. Up here you can see jam pins. What are jam pin screws? Well, if you have a regular hinge, you go ahead and take out a couple of screws and you replace them with jam pins. You go take out these couple of screws and you replace them with nothing. You've just made a security hinge. And it costs you basically no money and almost no effort. And it's a super easy retrofit that'll fix all this kind of trouble. I like giving easy solutions. That's kind of why I like being in the physical side, because all the stuff we do, it looks really scary, but the solutions are stupid simple most of the time. Case in point. Door latches. All right, let's not talk about knocking pins out, but actually attacking the door as it exists. This pile of stuff on a table, it's an old photo that I took when I met a buddy of mine named Keith for the very first time. Keith was a locksmith. He worked in the field forever, and I was like, wow, Keith, I would really love to see like your daily carry kit, because, this is back when I was just this goofy lockpicker kid doing it for fun, but you did it for work. Like, Keith, what was your daily carry? And he's like, oh yeah, and he took out this little pouch and he dumped all this on the table. And I was like, well, that's, I guess, not as cool as I thought. I meant like, I guess you're fixing things all the time. You're servicing stuff. I meant like your entry kit. He's like, no, Dave, this is my entry kit. Like, these are my top 3 entry tools right here. I'm like, Keith, what in the heck are you talking? What is this thing in the middle anyway? He's like, I don't know. I found it at a yard sale, but it's stupid useful. It is called a traveler hook, as it turns out. This little tool, which is a garment industry tool, I use to reach in to so many door jambs and grab the latch. Like, this is a locked door, right? This is a water treatment plant. This is a city water supply. And I can just reach in and pull the latch with this little hook tool. Like, what's going on here? What is this hook doing? Why am I able to do this? Well, you can kind of see I'm reaching right in the door jamb. I hook, I turn, and I pull this little plunger, this little latch. There it is. Same thing as like a Slim Jim. Automotive attacks that use a Slim Jim. You can use a Slim Jim or even a chopped down tiny one. I think I probably have it's called a mini Jim. Probably got that somewhere in here. Yeah, some of you in the front can see this is just a little mini Jim in my kit. I'll pull it out. But I mean, essentially, this is just a Slim Jim tool. It's just a tiny one because I'm not reaching into a car door window. I'm reaching into a door jamb and trying to just slip the latch and pull the latch so I get the door to open. Sometimes you see the big plate on the door, right, to protect it. So that doesn't always do what you think it will do. It's a long piece of wire, thick piano wire. That pops out. I realize we're not getting any sound up there, are we? So I'm just going to try to turn this up as much as I can. But you can see, right, like big plate over the latch. The idea is not to prevent people from reaching the latch, because you can always reach the latch. It's just harder one way or another. The problem is that in all these little bits of imagery, you're seeing latches that are installed incorrectly.
Oh.
This is the problem. We have technology, and most doors nowadays use something called a dead latch. Let's talk about the parts of this hardware that you're seeing here. The part in yellow that I'm highlighting there, that is the latch. That is what holds the door shut if, like, you just close it. The problem, though, is there's an extra piece. In fact, many people, you might remember, if you were like, depends how old you are, you may have seen doors that only ever had a latch. That's the only part it used to be. And sometimes some doors still only have that, but nowadays most doors will have this extra little button next to the latch.
Yeah.
That is the dead latch engaging mechanism. That little button highlighted in red right there. You don't realize this because usually you see it when the door's open. When the door closes, that button is supposed to be pushed back and held back. If that little button is pushed in, that latch is now dead. You can't reach in, slip it. It's not a spring-loaded latch anymore. It's locked in place. You can't use the hook or the Slim Jim or anything if that little button plunger is held back. Why doesn't this always work? It's a problem of door fitment. If the door and the strike plate are not the right size, if the door is not aligned right and hung right, that little extra button is sometimes not being pushed back when the door shuts. And all of this, like, we've had dead latches for like 20 years. They don't work at all. It gets all thrown out the window if you're using the wrong strike plate. Here is a really nice lock, really good door. This is a piece of garbage that you're seeing, just a piece of plastic.
Credit card? No.
It was kind of like a piece of plastic like this. So like this is just, that'll work. Again, you can pass that around. Like it's like cheap. I think that was from when we laminated something. We're probably making a fake ID for a job, and no, I'm totally supposed to be here. I'm authorized. And I was like, oh, keep a piece of that. Again, let's watch that again. Piece of crummy plastic. Nice lock on this door. Shove it in hard and wiggle. Now the problem is the size of that. Look at the size of that hole. That strike plate hole is huge. Electronic door locks today are really popular, like badge systems. You'll see RFID badges. Many times they're installed with electronic strike plates, not a little piece of metal. And because there's all different models and all different size holes, it's really common for the wrong one to be installed. And the little plunge, sometimes the plunger is next to the latch, sometimes the dead latch plunger is below it. But if they're not interacting correctly with the door, we just blow right in. Here is another, this is another water facility in a different town. We do a lot of public infrastructure testing. So this door should be locked correctly, but it's not. That dead latch is not engaging anything. And like that little hook thing costs like $5. So that's like, I'm in here because of a $5 hook. I don't belong anywhere in here. I will hurt myself or poison people if I'm in here. Like, this is not good. Here's another door. You're not going to see a dead latch attack. You're going to see this crash bar. Oops, what happened there? Let's look at that again. Clearly, very late at night, office building is closed, but we're going to reach right through the door, and you say, oh, there's this big crash bar. We're just pulling on it, yanking on it with a big bent piece of rod. Many doors, in fact, if you kind of look just the right angle, you look at a door, they'll have like a gap. That gap is a huge security risk for all kind of interesting tools that you can reach in, slip in. And some people will say, oh yeah, I think our doors are they're pretty tight. I never notice any light leaking through. Like, get up close and personal to a lot of doors. Sometimes they're just rubber, like weather stripping. That's fine if you care about your heating and cooling bills. That's not a security device. Like, you need a big plate down the whole door covering up that gap. Here is an inside and outside attack video. This is our buddy Robert. And like, this is a custom-made tool just for this purpose. It's just a little angled bar, and he can reach right in. And because of fire code, you need to be able just to push that crash bar and leave. So there are so many tools. There are so many ways to reach in. Exit paddles, these are a different style of door, but same system, same idea. Reaching in through this giant gap, I could slap that exit paddle really easily. Now you can kind of see, it's pretty dark actually in this. Nah, this photo's too dark on the screen. There is something down here. I don't know if you can tell. What do you think might be on this door? It's a different type of mechanism. And when I showed this photo to the client, they said, oh, you could never get in late at night because we do something down here. What do you think might be down there?
Some alarm sensor.
It's not an alarm sensor. It's something even simpler.
Drop down, lock.
Yeah, it's a lot. What kind of? It's a deadbolt. It's just a thumb turn, deadbolt. And they're like, well, at night, we lock that up so you can't use the crash bar, which is totally allowed if you have a low occupancy or no occupancy structure. You don't need to have crash bars to work at night. That's fine. That's great that they use their deadbolt, but this thing exists. What is this thing? This is a thumb turn flipper. You can stick it through a door, put it right on the deadbolt, and from the outside, I can reach in. I got one of these too with me. Yeah.
Made in China?
This one was, yeah. Yeah, this is the cheaper version. This is the nice version made by some very expensive company. This is the cheap version. But yeah, imagine a big double door. You slide this through, you find the little thumb turn, and you're just like, whoop, and then you just pull the door open. So you can pass that around too if you want. Don't twist it too hard if you're holding the other end of it, but you can experience what it's supposed to do. So like, these tools are out there, man. These tools are known to governments and other shady people. Here's another gap in a door, and you're going to see this door will open with no tools at all. So let's see what happened there. That's our friend Dr. Tran. So this door, he closes and he rattles it. This door is locked. And then that door is unlocked. And he's very pleased with himself. Well, let's look at a different from the other side. Same setup. So this is a development lab where we make some of our circuitry. And this door is locked. Electronic lock. You can see the card reader. The fella in the hat is the co-owner of the company, Bobick. He just showed this trick to Ross, and Ross is like, hey, come here, I got to show you this. So they're sticking something in the door jamb, because there's a little gap. And if you look through the glass window, you can see what happens. Well, what happened there? Now the door's open. That's strange, right? They're using this very sophisticated hacking tool. And the way they're using it is by flipping it upside down. What's happening in these videos? Well, a lot of electronically controlled doors, a lot of doors that have badge systems connected to them, they detect someone who's exiting. They are what actually called request to exit sensors. And many of these sensors, they detect motion by seeing temperature. So the cheapest sensors are these little infrared sensors, and we're just throwing different temperature at the door. It doesn't matter that the temperature we're squirting through the door with that can of air is super cold, because that's that can. If you ever like scare the cat, like it's cold, cold air. But it's enough to make this thermal sensor register something, and it causes the door to open. So this has been done all the time. Like there are a lot of different companies, and they're almost all like this right in the middle. This one in the middle. This is Honeywell. This is a standard Honeywell thermal sensor. Everyone resells this. It is sold under all different names. That is the most common sensor in the industry by far. Many others exist. Almost all of them are thermal. They do make better ones. There are sensors, motion sensors, that are microwave radar. They're called RCR, range-controlled radar. They actually have to see something roughly human shape or size, and it has to be coming at the door, not like leaving the door. But that's a very expensive sensor. You never really see them in use. Almost every installer is buying infrared and we're blowing air through, like blowing cold air through the gap, and doors will open all the time. It gets really comical. This is Dave Kennedy. As obviously you know Dave, Sam. He runs a conference called DerbyCon. Same door that you can see we played with earlier, but he is a big e-cig guy. He sub-ohms his e-cigarettes. So he's going to vape a huge cloud through this door. And that's enough to cause the sensor to trip. He doesn't hear. He's listening for that solenoid click. And he's like listening. Then he hears a big click. And he's like, oh, all right, there we go. Now unlocked. So the same thing happened. There's a video online my fiance took. We were walking home late when I lived in Montana. We had left a bar, and I was like, walking by this bank. And I was like, I'd like walked out with this glass of whiskey. And I was like, so there's a rec sensor up there. Hey, watch this. And I just go up to the door. And I just kind of spit whiskey through the door. And that works. And God love her, because I was like, hey, baby, check this out. She's like, oh, that's a good sign. I got to get my phone out for this. So like that's the kind of thing that happens with rec sensors, though. Like they don't authenticate what's going on. Another thing about modern doors, and again, a lot of these exit devices are because of code. They're not something you can easily engineer around, because you're supposed to have a crash bar that works, or you're supposed to have an exit system. Lever-style door handles are also a code issue in modern buildings. This building where we are, all the classrooms, this whole school. When's the last time you've been around this school or any commercial space and you saw a doorknob? Like, doorknobs are dead in commercial space. That's by code. Individuals with reduced tactile grip, or maybe you got somebody who has lost their hand. Like, they need to be able to operate a door and get out in the event of emergency. So lever-style door handle sets are the thing. They lend themselves to a lot of attack vectors, specifically under-door attacks. This was some little special that was being filmed, and this guy is like, so tell me about the under-door attack. And you'll see the outside in this video, and then you'll see a different version. So what happened there? Like, I was nowhere near the lock. I just kind of knelt down and knocked the door open. This is a server room late at night on a penetration job, late at night in New York City. Robert is down here. Again, he's nowhere near the lock. He's not touching the lock. He's not touching the card reader. Well, what is this weird under-door attack that we're doing? Sure enough, I think he's got it. He thinks he has it. He's being more methodical because he doesn't want to make as much noise. He's going to lean into the door. And he pulls something and click. Well, what on earth is going on?
You're pulling the inside.
We're pulling the inside handle, exactly. All we're doing is using a long rod with a string on it, reaching over to the handle and yanking the cord. And just you pull the string and you're hitting the inside handle. It's super, super simple to do this. And almost every door out there is vulnerable to this in a commercial environment, because most doors have to, by code, have that lever handle, and most doors have a gap. I can look at this door right in this classroom. There's a gap under this door. I can see the light coming through. How do you fix this problem? A couple ways. So they do make something called a dynamic door bottom, a moving door bottom. This little plunger, and you'll see this mechanism in this animated video here. This little plunger, if you push in on it, it causes the bottom bar to drop down. So when the door shuts, this bar drops down. And this little video here, this is not a security device, but it's the same method as other devices. This is just, again, for like keeping your air conditioning bill low. There is a much heavier duty version of this moving door bottom that is made by the company that makes this is called PEMCO, if you're curious, P-E-M-K-O. PEMCO makes this moving door bottom. And when the door shuts, it's an actual metal interlock, and like that you can't lift that bar up at all. Beautiful, like, and it's a contoured floor plate. Like, we're not getting through that easily. Costs about $150, so not everyone wants to use one. There's other cheaper solutions, though. I'll show you the other solution in a minute. This is another video I just added the other day. You're going to see another attack on this handle, but nothing to do with under the door. Film, which again is kind of a dying technology. Like, it's hard to find film unless there's a camera shop near you. But this fella, this guy's name, InfoSec Pope, I think is his name. He slides film over the door, and he just kind of knows. He's like, all right, he's measured it. Because, you know, the door handle on your side is the same height as the door handle on the inside. So he kind of like measures it, and he puts a little mark on it. He's going to feed this over, make a loop, slide it on, and just yank, and the door handle on the inside is going to pull up. The outside's not as interesting, but I'll show you from the inside. This is how it goes down. So again, he's just feeding this through. And I said he makes a little mark on it so he knows how high it should be. And once he pushes a little bit extra of one side so it makes a big loop, walks it right over. And if he tugs on it and says, well, I'm feeling something has got me, all right, let's give it a yank. There we go. So how do you prevent these kind of attacks? Well, the door bottom is nice, but it doesn't really stop you on this one. I love offices where I've seen this. It's just like a shroud around the handle on the inside. And I asked this one company, they had them on their server room. I was like, oh my God, man, have you heard of under-door attacks? Because we couldn't get in this, we had to copy a badge and it was a whole mess. Where'd you get this thing? They're like, we don't know, we had them on this building when we moved in. We were always, turns out they're not a security device. They're for service corridors, so you don't bang into door handles with carts. But they work really well for protecting, you get the shroud around that handle. It's really hard to reach around and hit it. Have you ever been in hotels where the handle is facing straight down?
Oh.
Hotels know about this trick. They have had break-ins in rooms because it's so easy to get. A lot of hotels have a big gap. Because a hotel, they're not really heating and cooling all that. It's not outside. Your room is usually the same temperature as the hallway, so big gap, big problem. Hotels have started mounting the handles downward. I was at a hotel once where it wasn't a mounted handle like this, but what they did is they added these little clips around the door handle. And I was like, that. And then I had other people send me photos that they've seen this kind of thing done. And I was at this one hotel for a few weeks. We were on a long job. And finally, I was kind of making friends with the staff because, you come and go every day. Hey, how's it going? And I was like, all right, I got to ask. The door handle thing, is that because of under-door attacks? And the guy was like, oh, you've heard about that. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, we had this big problem with, transients were coming in and sleeping in rooms, because we had, nobody in the room. It was really bad. I'm like, where did you get these awesome security clips? He's like, dude, we're a hotel. They're just if you have sliding doors in a closet, they're just those little tracks that you put in your bedroom carpet. But we just, they went to Home Depot, bought a bunch of them, and that's effing brilliant. And it solves the problem for $4. I love that. It's really impossible to get your under door tool or your over door tool or anything around that handle with this clip all blocked off. And it doesn't violate code. It doesn't break any laws. I think that's brilliant. So all of these are stupid easy ways to get in. We do a lot of other stuff too. It's almost like she was in on the joke that the person left a key right in front of us here. So surreptitious key copying is something we do with our students in some classes. This is a clay mold where we've actually clamped a key and made an impression of it, and they're using a little cup of hot metal that they use a lighter, and they basically cast a new key in the classroom. So you could do that really quickly with a key that you just happen to find for a minute. We do crack safes. I'm a safe technician. I could teach anyone in this classroom basic safe manipulation in about half a day. It's not Hollywood magic. We love sharing this kind of knowledge. We love trying to tell people about the odd ways that we can get in. Key to stuff. Oh man, just if you have time later, there's a talk that I gave with a buddy named Howard. It's called "This Key is Your Key, This Key is My Key," and it was all about key to systems. So this is our friend Dennis. Dennis is standing next to a linear access control telephony box. I'm standing next to a DoorKing system, access control telephony box. All of these manufacturers tend to key alike all of their boxes. So every linear box is usually the A126 key. DoorKing, the one right next to me, I probably even have a DoorKing key on my key ring because it's way popular on the West Coast. Yeah, the DoorKing 16120 key, this is every DoorKing controller box. And when you open this panel, most of these door locks on buildings, they're electronic relays. And they often have little momentary switches that you can just press and, you hear anything? You hear anything? You hear buzz, and you're like, oh yeah, try that door. Oh, awesome, great, let's close this up. And because they're all keyed alike. They're all the same key from the manufacturer. That's the A126 key. That's the linear key right there. Which, and because they're standard keys, right? I don't have special access. I didn't get this from my Fed friends. You can just buy, I bought the DoorKing key for $15 on eBay, and it served me really well. The 1284X key, I will caution you to not be idiots or anything, right? This is the 1284X key. What is it? It is Ford's fleet key. If Ford Motor Company gets a contract from a large government, let's say, and they say, we need a bunch of maybe Crown Victorias, and they should all be keyed alike. They're probably going to be the 1284X key. Again, this is not mystery. This is like a thing in spec that you order a bunch of vehicles, and they're probably keyed to this key. This is a Home Depot copy of a 1284X key. This is it opening a cruiser. Yes, that will work. And it is not just the freaking door of the police cruiser, right? Like there are so many police departments that we have blown people away when we explain this. We're like, first of all, do you fellas not know all your vehicles are the same key? And half of them don't know that. And I'm like, do you not know it's the same key that I have here? And most people don't know that.
How did you get that done? I'm like, wouldn't they say no?
No, they just people don't think about this stuff. But that was, $1.50 at Home Depot, and it's the same key in so many cities across the country. Key-to-like systems are crazy things to talk about. Electronic stuff. We could come back another day. We could do a whole day on electronic. We do card cloning. We do credential spoofing. This is not like just electronics that exist in a Hollywood prop department. These are tools called Proxmark tools. And we can clone everything you're seeing here. This is a long-range reader. This is like the kind of reader you would see at a parking garage. So this is a big wound antenna. This is an R90 for high frequency. Bobak, our electronics guy, he guts it, puts its own circuitry in it, puts its own battery pack in it, and then it just becomes, we call it the hunt pad. It just listens for credentials. And if you get near someone about a foot or two away, it'll usually grab their credential and just save it.
Oh.
So like this is a guy on a bench. This is Dennis coming along. We've seen Dennis earlier, and Dennis acts like he's on his phone, and I'm like trying to stand across the path like I'm not doing something on my phone. And Dennis looks like he's making a call. He's verifying that he just got a good read, and we just pulled that guy's credential like out of his pocket, and we can reburn that onto a new badge. So RFID stuff, this is, an RFID. We cloned a badge, and Bobak is doing a replay. This is all real. Like, I realize Hollywood tries to portray it in weird ways, but these are all actual valid things that we can really do. On the inside of the badge reader, it's really fun. If you lift the badge reader off the wall, you can install a little sniffer. This is a tiny circuit that gets powered by the bus wires right here, and then that is sniffing credentials. So we can come back later, and Bobak can just dump all the credentials. And it's credentials that are valid on this door, because who's going up to this door? People who are supposed to be in that server room. This is him. This is Bobak doing it right here. It takes him about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, once he gets this thing off the wall.
It's like a gas station attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's like putting it. Yeah, it's like a skimmer. That's a really good point. It's almost like a skimmer. And there's only 4 wires because no badge reader ever has tamper detection enabled. If you ever take a badge reader off the wall and the purple wire is hooked up, let's hope you didn't set off the tamper detection. But that usually never happens because installers are cheap. So Bobak is just punching down. You can see it has power. It just started up. He's going to punch down the data lines. And the badge readers, they're almost all the badge readers, even the really high-end ones, are sending data back down the wire to their panel in the clear. Almost none of them are encrypting this traffic. So once he's got it all set, he can talk to it with his phone. It'll jump on Wi-Fi networks. He can put the badge reader back on the wall, and no one's the wiser. So I love showing this kind of stuff. You can see why I get enthusiastic when I'm up here talking, but I love this stuff. I love that this is what we get to do day in and day out. And if you can start thinking critically because of this, I think that's a good thing. I think, actually, let's all look together here. So this door's got a variety of problems. From this angle, it's very dark, but you can see one thing pretty clearly. What do you see about this door?
Yeah.
There's a gap, absolutely. So you could reach what are some of the things we might try to reach through this door? Okay, speak up. Yeah, you could try to slip through and hit the latch if it was a mechanical latch. What if it had a crash bar? What would you reach through and try to do? Yeah, just reach through and slap the bar. What about if you look on the ceiling? I told you, man, that Honeywell sensor. That Honeywell sensor is everywhere. What is this thing sensing? What is it looking for? Temperature. What would you stick through the door then?
Anything.
Yeah, anything that'll change the temperature. Can of air. I've actually sometimes walked up to doors. I'll have a folder or something. I'm a guy with a mail, or I've got a manila folder because I'm just walking around the office. And if you just have it under your arm for a few minutes, it gets warm enough that you get it through the door and you just wiggle it around and that'll work. What is holding this door shut? What kind of lock is? We haven't talked about this yet. You can see it. It's a big silver thing.
Magnet.
That's a magnetic lock. It's not a mechanical interlock. Magnetic lock, right? Many times you got to ask yourself, like, how is this operating? Well, it needs electricity to operate, right? This is the basement of a hospital. In between two big buildings, there's like an underground corridor, and it looks like this is the secure side because you can see the crash bars there, right? But there is a badge reader. This is a door that was locked on both sides because they were both sensitive areas of the hospital. And when we were trying to walk through it, I realized, I'm like, look, if I push on this, this is a mechanical crash bar, and this door is not opening. So obviously there's no mechanical interlocks. This has got to be electronic. Well, let's look around here. We've got a piece of metal wire conduit, like this metal conduit pipe. We've got a plate over it. Either there's like an emergency exit sign on the other side of this door, which, why the heck is there an emergency exit sign if it's a badge reader door? Like, it's not an exit. Or it's probably going to be the freaking lock, right? So I unscrewed these screws. There were just a couple wires with wire nuts. I unscrewed the wire nuts and just yanked, and then we heard a loud click, and my buddy pushed the door, and like she walked through, and like the door was unlocked. You need power to work. These are all things that people don't think about. But if hopefully you start walking around and you start seeing things, this will just start popping in your brain. You're like, oh, I wonder. Oh, that's just that thermal sensor. Oh, wow, look at this thing. I bet you could reach through under this door. That's how your brain should be when you look around at systems. You should never just accept that you're not going to be able to get in, that no one would ever get in. And we don't talk about physical side, but keep physical attacks in mind. Even if most of what you're doing is on the digital side, if someone can, again, like physically get into the server cage, that's the ballgame. All the best crypto and systems and firewalls in the world kind of fall on their face when someone has their hands on the infrastructure. And the other fun side is like when you show people this stuff, the fixes are usually really straightforward. That's the thing I love about my work is like they're simple problems, but they're simple solutions. This was that water, pumping facility. And I'm showing the administrator, I'm showing her like, look, this plate is just like a 1/4 inch off, like just get a file and fix this. So this was a Locksmith magazine published an article where somebody had this exact problem. The strike wasn't hitting right. They popped it off the wall, they pop ribbeted a piece of scrap metal, and with two more millimeters of metal, like the door worked fine. So the solutions to correcting these problems are usually not going to kill someone's budget. You can be the scary person at a company and the hero at the same time by being like, look, everything's wrong. Oh, and by the way, like that guy with the tool bag could probably fix it for no money. And I like that too. I like that it wakes people up, but it's easy to fix. And I hope you dug this. I hope you guys stay safe out there. And I love talking about it, so thank you for letting me yak for a little while. Thank you very much.